if she doesn't think it's quite good enough, she will literally peck it down. Like, she'll destroy the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then he kind of will just be like, oh, okay, and then go and start again.
Okay. Hello everybody, welcome back to the We Are Tearfund channel. Today is a special video for me because I am joined by one of my good friends, Jess, who is a nature blogger and one of the most sustainable people that I know. So today I just wanted to chat to her a little bit more about her take on things, because you actually look at things from quite like a wildlife angle.
That's true.
Yeah, and you post a lot on Instagram and on your YouTube channel that talks about kind of wildlife and ecosystems and how that impacts climate change. And I think you speak about it in the most interesting way that I know, because often people talk about that and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. So you put it in terms that are easy for the average person like me to understand. So yeah, I just wanted to chat to you a bit more about that today. So first of all, do you want to just tell us what do you do and how did you get into it?
So I quit my job in fashion and went to South Africa to do a wildlife film course.
Wow.
Which was really exciting. It was only a month long, but I just learned so much and it really taught me a lot of patience that you need with observing wildlife. And the more that you kind of, I guess, take time to like slow down and really observe, the more you realize how incredible nature is. I did that course, then I got chosen as one of the students to go and film a documentary, which was great, and we traveled all around South Africa. That was really good. One of the things that we saw on that trip was something really horrible. It was essentially one of those like wildlife petting zoos, but it was just all the animals were in such bad conditions. There was like tigers in the same enclosure as lions and hyenas, and they're obviously from like completely different continents anyway and should never be together. Lions and hyenas in kind of the natural world are like the worst enemies, so you wouldn't put them together. And we went in there kind of undercover to just try and film some things and speak to them, and just kind of to get their point of view on whether they realised that these animals were in really bad conditions. And it just really affected me, and I remember being so angry, but because we were kind of undercover and I was playing the part of like English tourist, my first time in South Africa and really excited, I couldn't say anything and I couldn't question what they were doing or just say, you know, do you not realise that this is really wrong? Like it's not right at all. I didn't want to wait until this documentary came out, which could have been, you know, years. It was like a series. So I posted a photo of me and one of the lions that I'd taken on my GoPro. I'd flipped the camera around and it was me, one of the lions in the background. And I posted it on my personal Facebook page as a bit of an experiment. I just put like me and a lion. That's it, very minimal kind of caption, and knew that so many people would be like, wow, I want to do that, that's so exciting. Left it up for I think 24 hours and then I released an article called The Truth Behind My Lion Selfie. Yeah, it just got a really great kind of result. I remember thinking if 5 people see this and don't go to these kind of places because of this, then it's great. And I think in the end about 360,000 people read it, which was great.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember getting emails from travel agencies in like places like Canada saying we're not going to send people to these places anymore, we had no idea. So that was really great. And then from that a lion focused organisation in South Africa contacted me and wanted me to go and work with them, so I did that for 6 months, which was great. Learned more about lions and kind of on the ground conservation. Now I work for a global nature conservation organisation, essentially kind of turning all of like the science and hard to understand stuff into great, mainly social media content.
So then obviously that is like quite a journey, and obviously something you were really passionate about. You were moved and you were like, wow, I want to make a difference in this area. Now we look at like the sustainability aspect of your life. How did you get from like going to a petting zoo to be like, oh, actually this impacts, I need to live a more sustainable life? Like, what is the connection?
So, yeah, because it seems like quite a different connection, but I think as soon as you start learning about nature, you realise that everything is connected. And generally, we never think that the things that we are doing, for example, kind of using a plastic straw, take that example that everyone kind of knows about now, before that was kind of a whole thing in the media and everything, no one would connect that with, say, all of the wildlife in the sea, that was kind of impacting them. So I think the more you learn about nature, the more you realise and understand the human impact on animals and on kind of ecosystems and habitats as well. You can start with what you're doing at home and just educating other people around you.
So what are some of the things that you started with?
I think I started with kind of simple things like no plastic straws, and kind of just avoiding single-use plastic where I could. And I think I just started look to nature, because you can make a lot of products yourself that you would, so for example, I make my own deodorant, which is so easy. It's literally just like coconut oil and like essential oils and just stuff like that, because they have all these natural properties that our body needs. And people say to me like, but it's all natural, does it really work? And they're very skeptical. But then I think that if you look at the ingredients on any of those products that you buy, you can't even pronounce them. So how can you like trust that more than trusting just what nature has given us? Stopped eating meat as well, and eat not very much dairy. I am Italian, so I find it hard to cut out cheese, but it's a journey like with everyone. And I just say, you know, you don't have to cut out everything all at once, but as long as you're like conscious and aware of it and do what you can and do the best that you can, then that is so much better than just thinking, I can't do all of this, so I'm going to do nothing.
We at Tearfund, we're really passionate about ending extreme poverty, and climate change has a huge impact. But I think sometimes people can get mistaken that maybe like if you're like a wildlife advocate, all you care about is saving the animals. But that's not always like the full story, is it?
Yeah, no, not at all. Everything is so, interconnected. I think people kind of forget that when we say that everything in nature is connected, we are part of nature, like we're not separate from it.
I actually remember you telling me one time about, what is it, they're animal vultures, and how everyone thinks that vultures are like really horrible animals, but actually the part they play in like the ecosystem overall is like really, really important.
Yes.
So what is it that they do again?
So I love vultures. They get such a bad reputation, and I don't understand why. I think it's just in every, say, like animal related Disney film or anything, there needs to be a villain, and they choose vultures. And that's kind of how it's all stemmed from. Vultures are so important because they essentially will eat the carcass of an animal after a lion or whatever else has eaten it, because they have a special acid in their stomach, which means that they can essentially kind of like eat and dissolve anything that's kind of like different diseases or anything like that. All of the bits that a lion or hyena wouldn't eat, they essentially kind of like clean up the landscape because they can do that. Vultures, a lot of the species are really threatened, or some of them are critically endangered. If they weren't there, it means that that carcass, it's a bit of a gross image, but that carcass would essentially kind of rot, and if there are diseases there, it will obviously make its way into the soil, which then when it rains, then that will kind of basically all of those diseases through rain and then rivers and everything, it makes its way into the water systems, which of course are then kind of going to impact anyone anywhere close in that kind of area, obviously covering a large area, that's the water that they're using. It's not kind of animals, their impact, it doesn't really affect us as people, it really does.
Yeah, it's all interconnected, and I think it's important that we have these conversations. So on your Instagram, one of my favourite things that you do is your animal fact of the day.
Yeah.
Can you give us one of your animal facts of the day?
The females in a lot of species are just so powerful. For example, with a lot of bird species, the male bird will build the nest for them, essentially like a man building a house for a woman. Wow. You might spend days doing it, then she'll go and look at it. If she doesn't think it's quite good enough, she will literally peck it down, like she'll destroy the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then he kind of will just be like, oh okay, and then go and start again.
Okay.
And then, yeah, and he'll have to start again and build one that's a bit better.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a cool fact. Okay, so my last question for you is just for anyone who has enjoyed this video and they're thinking, oh yeah, I'd like to understand a bit more about nature and its impact and even how I can learn more. How can we start to learn more about wildlife and nature, like in our own back gardens or our local park, if we're not going to be going to like safari.
Just go into your garden, or if you don't have a garden, just any like outdoor space, local park. You will find wildlife there. The more that you observe, the more that you learn and kind of understand, and then the more interesting it is, and then the more that you want to learn. I think just speaking to people and just spreading that awareness about things. People want to help the world and the environment once they understand the impact that we're having on it. So I think the more you learn about nature, the more you want to protect it, and then you'll go to learn how to protect it.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Jess, for chatting to us today. And we can find you on According to Jess on Instagram. It's like according underscore
According to Jess.
Oh, sorry. Underscore according to Jess. Your YouTube channel.
According to Jess. Yeah.
And your blog.
accordingtojess.com.
There we go. So, According to Jess, check it out, and yeah, let us know in the comments below if you've enjoyed this video and if you're more inspired to go and check out nature for yourself. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.